Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Flagler County Time Traveler. Today we are on Old Kings Road South, heading south, about to turn into this well-known neighborhood to take a look and see how they've incorporated history into the provenance of their community. Many of you are well familiar with this. Of course, we're talking about Sugar Mill Plantation. This neighborhood has had a long-standing history of hosting amazing Halloween celebrations and Christmas displays. This neighborhood was actually a part of the Bulow Plantation ruins, which are just north of us. Charles Wilhelm Bulow settled this area in 1820. He built one of the largest sugar mill plantations, of course, using enslaved African Americans in the state of Florida. John Audubon was once a visitor here. He drew many of his bird pictures showing the scenery of the area back in the 1830s. And by the mid-1830s, the Seminole Native Americans had had it with white settlers. They began burning plantations, and of course, Bulow was one of them. The ruins still stand today, so many years later. So if we take a look right here at the entrance, this community has put together a history marker, and it is absolutely beautiful. But what it does is it speaks about the fact that this was once a part of the plantation, that John Audubon was here. 1831 was one of the greatest plantations in Florida, and many of the trees that are still in this neighborhood are still alive. At the bottom, it points out that the park entrance is just a half mile to the north, and this is what the sign looks like to go into the state park. Knowing this history, driving through the neighborhood now actually opens my eyes to some of the history that's taken place. We know on this plantation that things that were grown here included indigo and rice and Sea Island cotton and, of course, sugar cane. And you can just imagine, instead of houses, fields. Flagler County history has a whole host of ancient things that have lived here, from mastodons and woolly mammoths and saber-toothed tigers to giant ground sloths. We've had historical occurrences that have taken place here that many people just are not aware of, but we're going to make you aware of that today. Things such as Timucuan villages. Pedro Menendez de Avila's from St. Augustine came through here in 1565, looking for shipwrecked French sailors, of course. We had a British period, but all of these people were here. They lived their lives, and they left their remnants behind, including Revolutionary War, Seminole War, Civil War. All of these things took place in Flagler County. The county has done an amazing job of documenting historic sites, especially recently up in Palm Coast, and that is great. What it does is it gives people a sense of belonging and understanding and history, and it adds to the provenance of the area, just like the marker sign here has added to the provenance of this neighborhood. Driving around, we can just picture things that have been here before. Unfortunately, though, there have been things that have not been saved. This is up in Palm Coast back in the early 1960s. It was a part of the St. Joseph's plantation, and unfortunately, it is bulldozed and underneath a shopping center. Most recently, several years ago, we had an area here that hosted Revolutionary War dump pits and artifacts, and all of that was bulldozed and scraped up and dug up and removed, and that history is now lost forever. So we know for a fact that this area is going to continue to build and develop, and we're kind of at a crossroads for how to save all of these historic sites, and our support is going to be for having information kiosks and places that talk about the history that's taken place, maybe showing pictures of artifacts. Some of these kiosks can be placed along walking trails and biking trails that are so well built and attract visitors and tourists, and why not educate them about what we have had here? These are examples of some history kiosks that have put into other communities, and what they do is they teach history They open our eyes to what's happening in the present because history repeats itself, and then it helps us to gauge and adjust our compass and our setting for living our lives into the future. Communities that have history kiosks like this attract a lot of visitors because there are people like me that are history nerds that love to know what's taken place and what's happened here, and this is just something that can be built into our communities to add to provenance, just like they have done here at Sugar Mill Plantation. So we like to talk about ecotourism, and these are all private homes with private properties, and there's beautiful things that are here. So for sure, don't go up in anybody's yards, picking stuff, eating stuff, taking stuff. Just take a drive around, look at some of these witness trees that are obviously 200 years old plus, and they have seen some of the things that we have shown you here today. This is an amazing neighborhood. It's an amazing group of folks that are community minded. They've put the sign at the entryway. It does a great job of educating about what is here. Just don't go into their yards picking stuff, and never eat anything. Never eat anything out in the wild unless you know for sure that it's safe to eat and that you don't have a sensitivity to it. I want to thank you for watching this episode. This is Ed Sharkovich with the Flagler County Historical Society. The Flagler County Historical Society has 2 museums. They are down in Bunnell on State Route 100. You can learn more by giving us a call at 386-437-0600 or by visiting us on Facebook or on our website, FlaglerCountyHistoricalSociety.com. Have a great day.